You got to do an intro, big guy.
All right.
I need that intro. I need it strong. You got
right.
to tell the people. They got to subscribe. Come on, Antonio. Are you ready? Have they subscribed yet? The notification bell?
Guys, you got the intro right there. Failing to Freedom. As you can tell, I've got my best friend, Aaron Marino, here on with me. And the purpose of the podcast, in videocast, whatever you want to call it, is just for you guys to hear some behind-the-scenes stories, for us to share things that we think matter in business, especially if you want to be able to figure out how to make your first $10,000, which, by the way, down in the description of today's video, we'll link over to our community where we talk about, more than just failing to freedom. We actually break out business ideas. We show you how to grow. In fact, we've had so many guys actually achieve. I was just talking, got a message from Justin the other day and what he's doing with the Camp Clucker. As you guys know, Michael Coker, I don't want to give away too much, but $10,000 a month this check he's getting from this information. I mean, guys, we've got real success stories. So go check out what we're doing.
It's a roadmap. It's not, it's a roadmap based on
It's a roadmap, but it's also the community. And I get it. A lot of people, they're like, why does community matter? Community matters a whole lot, because when you're putting in the time, when you're putting in the effort, you're going to get hit. When you're trying to succeed by people that you shouldn't even be listening to. And in this community, so I'll link over to the 10kclub.vip down in the description. Just go check it out.
Join us. We would love to have you and help
Join us. But let's talk about settling. In particular, settling for average, settling for mediocrity, and not mediocrity, which is not a word, but mediocrity. So I know for me, this has been a big thing, especially when you start to taste a bit of success. As you grow, as you build up a company, you build up things, all of a sudden you start to settle, because you've got a lot of things going on and you don't really, this person I've got maybe in my life that I've allowed to be able to get into my life, but they're talking about things, maybe, political, maybe it's, I don't know, religious, that just isn't really, it's actually pulling from me. In business, oftentimes you find that you'll start working with a business partner. It starts off good, but a year later, this is not working out, but you let it go and you keep doing it because it feels like the pain of having to cut them off and go find something else is more than just allowing it to happen. What I've learned is that every time I go in and I make that cut, I ask myself, pretty much immediately, why didn't I do that sooner? And I forget, it seems like I have a really short memory, that once I do this, all of a sudden I free up tons of bandwidth that I can be out there looking to fill that role or to fill that area in my life with something that is 10 times, 100 times, maybe even 1,000 times better. Because that is what I've discovered about mediocrity, is it's not just the cost of having somebody average in that role or having somebody average in your life that's really not doing it. It's the fact that you're missing out on that person that could be a 1,000 plus multiplier. Aaron, any thoughts?
When I hear you say that, mediocrity, there's something that I subscribe to that actually sounds a lot like I am subscribing to that, hey, it's mediocre or mediocrity is okay, and that is good enough is done. And I think that is the saying, good enough is done. And I think that one of the problems that people face when it comes to, okay, hey, I don't want to be mediocre. I want to do this. I want to be the best. I want to succeed. I want to make sure that everything is perfect. I want to make sure that everything is right. And so what happens is this gets disguised a lot of times as procrastination. Or I should say procrastination is disguised as planning, preparation. If I just read one more book, if I just did something a little bit longer, if I just took one more, e-course, if I just watched one more TED Talk, if I just.
So I hear you on that, but I want to push back a little bit, because to me, let me change out. So instead of mediocrity, let's talk about standards.
Standards. I like standards.
This is where you've got to have standards, and one part of that standard can be a timeline, can be a deadline. So let's not use that it needs to be perfect before we ship, but it needs to be at this level. And part of the standard is you get it done in this set amount of time. I've been pushing this a lot with my video team. I've got a few videographers that work for me, and it's something where I noticed that videos that used to take only 1 day to edit are now taking, in some cases, 3 days to edit. So we went back and we examined, we looked at all the details, and it turned out that, a lot of standards had slipped from, it's little things, from the start time. And I get it, people have lives, but we have one person in particular, he was just starting the day a lot later. So he wasn't able to get the review copy to the other person on the team who needed to see it before that they were signing off. So literally we were losing a day because of a change in when people were working and they weren't able to work together anymore. And so we had to say, hey, no, the standard is this needs to be done in this set amount of time. And it needs to be done to this level. So you got to get it shipped. You got to get it out there. And I don't know how you guys, you guys figure it out between yourselves how you're going to talk, but we need to set this time frame. Now, if a video goes beyond 10 minutes, it can extend that time frame. But if a video is under 10 minutes on my team, when it comes to editing, it needs to have a 1 day turnaround. So we defined what those standards were, and then we hold people to them, because you can say that, but just the other day I was realizing with one of my daughters, I'm not going to name her, is she, because I have 4, and only a couple actually have a phone, so now it's 1 out of 2. But point being is her phone oftentimes is in her room. And we've got a rule in the house: no digital devices in your bedrooms. You can have it anywhere else in the house. And in fact, I really don't monitor screen time too much. But I do expect if you're up in your room, that is for you. That is a place to sleep. And let's keep the digital devices out. So we've got a charging station down in the kitchen. I can see every first thing in the morning when I'm up at 5. Okay, whose phone is not down here? Well, I see it again and again. But the fact is, I'm not enforcing that standard. And I realize I need to do a better job. It's on me. It's my responsibility. Yes, you could argue it's hers, but, as a young adult, I still view it as my dad. I'm the dad. I've got to follow through. But so holding those people to standards is as much on you as it is to them meeting those standards. So when you've got friends in your life, and let's just say, hey, you don't tolerate gossip. I try not to. I don't think it's a good habit. And I don't want to be having people around me that are talking about others. Well, if you allow them to gossip around you without, let them be known that, hey, yeah, let's just not go there. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have at times, but it's one that I know protects me, and I feel protects those I'm around from having to be around someone that's instilling a habit that we just don't want to have in our family.
Yeah, and I think standards from a personal perspective it's where it starts, right? You have and need to have high standards for yourself, and also the people that you allow into your life, who you're investing in.
Suppliers. You deal with this all the time, Aaron. You are still, in fact, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but my understanding, you had a fill issue that you guys had. It was a nightmare.
Yes.
And your standards were to a particular level, and so you wouldn't let that go out as your product unless it met your standards.
Correct. Yeah, and I think just from a personal, professional, standards are what direct you, what dictate what you do, what you don't do, and how you live your life, how you run your business, how you basically have people in your life. I have had people in my life that I had to get rid of because they didn't meet my standards to what I needed and what I and
that sounds kind of bad, but you've had people in your life literally that were taking advantage of you.
Sure.
And they were actually going, not following through with their word, and they were in many ways almost stealing money from you.
Oh no, I have people that and you said something at the beginning of the video that is also something that I also am aware of, and that is sometimes the pain of change is larger than the pain that you have to endure to accept what you're accepting. And so this could be from an employee perspective, it could be your job, it could be having a hard conversation, with your spouse or whatever it may be. But yeah, standards are one of those things that you have to set a standard and an expectation for yourself, whether or not it's, fitness and your workouts or your diet or how much you drink, how much you go out, and people that you allow in your life and you invest your time with. I used to be a huge people pleaser. I would say yes to everything, right? Because I wanted people to get along. I wanted not to rock the boat. I didn't want people to be mad. And I thought that if I was a good little boy and I did what was I thought expected, that everybody would like me and everything would be great. And what ended up happening is I lowered my standard. My standards were so low for myself and what I was willing to do or tolerate that basically I ended up having to go to therapy because I lost my ability to stand up for myself. In terms of standards, like that's pretty darn bad when it comes to anyway.
Well, I like where you went with that because you focus in on what can you control when it comes to standards. Maybe if you work in a large company or you don't have the power to choose who you're going to work with, the first person that you can hold to the highest standard, and the first one I think you should, is yourself. Because, let's go to the gym. Aaron, you know this better than almost anyone. It's just simply the standards you hold for yourself. I know that for you, you want to be active every day. You don't have to always hit the gym, but you're going to get out, you're going to walk, you're going to move, you're going to go out hiking, it's about staying active and having that movement. And that's the standard. Every single day is the standard. If you miss a day, all right, bad boy, but you're back in on it the next day. Never let it be 2 days in a row. And so if you've got internal standards, and I know I have, and one thing personally for me that I am working on this year is knowing my numbers better. And you're laughing because you're like, Antonio, of course, this is obvious.
Oh, man.
But
yep.
I sometimes just look at the bank accounts. I measure things roughly. But that came to bite me this last year. And it's something that, you know what? I can't blame anyone. I need to know my numbers. And I was with Ryan. Actually, I was pretty impressed with how well he knows his numbers and how he examines them. And we've got, the same accountant that we work with. And I was like, you get your numbers 6 days or 5 days after the month's done? I get them a month later. What's going on here? And realizing he's like, no, I have to get them. And I told them I have to get them. And that's his standard. And I'm realizing because I don't have those high standards, I wasn't aware of some expenses that we had coming up. And that is 100% on me. And again, when you set your own standards and you know that, and you hold yourself, guess what? It becomes a lot easier to hold someone else. Like, I watched you go into a restaurant, Aaron, and you order it cooked a particular way because it can be done. They've done it right before, and you will hold Jay Christopher's to that standard of what you want to get. And there's something powerful there to being able to know yourself that, hey, I hold myself to this standard, so I'm going to hold you to it. And you're going to find a lot of times people measure up, and if they don't, well, they oftentimes find a way to get out of the way.
Yep. Or your standards a lot of times have the ability to kind of shrink your circle a bit, right?
Or attract people
or attract the right
people.
Or attract the right people. And that's something that I have a conversation with my wife often. I have great friends. My friends, all of them, even Will to some degree. All of my friends are honorable, noble, good men. I don't hang out with guys that are cheating on their wife. I don't hang out with guys that are going to the bar and getting drunk and doing stupid shit. And it's something that I've realized, even though like my wife and I will sometimes, have debates or get in arguments, she never has to worry about me going out with Antonio and going to the strip club and doing anything that we shouldn't be doing. Like, it's just not going to happen because I hold myself and the people that I surround myself and I invest my time, my friendship, and my time with, more specifically, I have very high standards with the people that I surround myself with. I'm not hanging out with people that are gossiping, that are bringing me down. I want to be around people that are noble, that have a good moral compass, and that are walking the walk that I feel somebody should walk. Now, is everybody perfect? No, of course not, right? But it's just the general.
Well, if you hold yourself to high standards, you know better than anyone that we all fall. that we don't always meet those standards. And I often think that, anyone that doesn't hold themselves to high standards, that's the person that has a zero, a deal with, oh, you can't ever fail here. It's like, okay, then you've never walked that walk. But we're talking about community. We're talking about surrounding yourself with a group of like-minded warriors looking out there to transform, to become their best self, especially in business and making an extra $10,000 a month. Guys, down in the description, go check out our community over on School and maintain those high standards. Right, Mr. Marino?
I am trying. Actually, when we get off this call, guess where I'm going?
To the bathroom?
And then the gym. Because I'm on a mission. I'm turning 50 in a few months. And
got to get that
damn
fat
it,
percentage down.
I'm getting my body fat down. I am dialed in. I'm locked in.
I love
controlling
it.
my calories. I'm on it. So yes, my standards for myself, my body, my fitness.
Yep.
Turning
Raise
50.
those standards, guys. Don't settle for mediocrity.
No.
That's it. See you guys in the next. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like. See you guys in the next video.
Peace.